Hello everyone, welcome back again. So, update time on FTR3. As you can see, there's been a fair bit happening to the car. It's now stripped to a bare chassis, and there's also been a fair bit of work going on as far as investigations go, trying to work out what bars were where back in 2000, 2001, and also what's involved in converting the chassis back to an AU, and just overall where we move on from here. So this update includes a few other bits and pieces, a little bit of a word on the super cheap Auto Falcon as well, and we'll get into it now. So as you can see, FTR3 is completely stripped now. So we've got the engine bay, all the tanks and lines and bits and pieces all removed. Inside the car's completely bare and the boot's exactly the same. We did find a few little, challenges we weren't banking on when we stripped the cab out. Some of the lines and wiring and hoses and that were assembled in the car. And when I say this, you've got as an example, a main brake line that runs from the pedal box all the way to the back of the car and through the rear firewall to feed the rear brakes. The lines ran through the floor and it ran under this tube here where your seat mounts to. Now the line ran under there and then ran all the way to the back of the car. But then it had a flare put on it and a nut, and you couldn't actually get the brake line out in its assembled state. So some of these bits and pieces had to have the flares cut off them. So they're all going to have to be remade or reflared, when the car goes back together. So you look at it and go, it'll be just a heap of nuts and bolts and cable ties. Majority of it was, but there were a few extra little challenges we hadn't banked on. So with the rear quarter panels removed, it does expose a lot of the damage from, 25 years of pounding around a racetrack. And you can see here a lot of the little bits and pieces that were done to convert it from an AU to a BA. So a lot of these panels where they've all been welded in, they're all going to have to be removed. Where the BA rear end's been grafted on to the AU chassis, that'll all have to be cut out as well. So there's a lot to come out. But one thing that we hadn't, planned on is the quarter panels are normally riveted on or spot welded through here, and we couldn't understand why it was TIG welded all the way down. Now, just to show you what I mean by that, we've left a section of the quarter panel on to show you. So we actually had to trim it out like that because it's TIG welded the whole way around. And you'll see here, you've got that section there, and then there's a little weld, a little weld, a little weld. So they weren't actually spot welded like they normally are. Now, we couldn't understand why that would have happened, but if we come back around this way, the reason it's happened is where they're normally welded and riveted to, there's a lot of damage. So these panels are no doubt original. They would have been replaced many times over its racing life, but you can see there, because the rear quarters have been on and off so many times, it's really ugly and there's not a lot to secure the quarter panel to. So what we're going to have to do is repair that section. Don't really want to replace the whole side because a fair chunk of that is original. So we'll get in and repair all that. There'll be a fair bit of work involved in that, and then we can get it back to how it was and be able to rivet the quarter panels back on the rear of the car. Now, as you can see here, there's a lot of work that's gone on inside the cab of FTR3 since its racing life finished. Now you'll see this photo here, taken in exactly the same spot, was taken back in 2002 after the street race at Canberra, after FTR3 was damaged. Now you can see there, a lot of the original bar work that was on the car has changed. So we're going to have to, sit down and work out exactly what's got to be replaced. But you can have a look at a lot of the work around the cage, and that main section behind the driver's head has all been completely removed and replaced to accommodate a back seat. Interesting things though, if you look at the air jack on this photo, it's got 1558 engraved in it. That air jack's still in the car today. So there's a lot of parts that are still original, which is really cool, and it gives us a really good starting point. So if we look through the passenger side door of the car, you'll see here that again, there's a photo taken from 2001 this time of FTR3 before the 2001 season started. You can see the car again looks completely different with all that bar work removed. Now, one thing it does show is the bars that ran between the rear trailing arm boxes and the rear shock points. So if I come through this way and show you what I mean by that is you'll see there's a circular section which goes on the inside of where the rear trailing arms mount, and it was a bar that ran from there all the way across to the rear shock point, and it also did it on the other side of the car as well. Now, this was completely unique to FTR3. FTR 1 and 2 didn't have it, so it was something that we're definitely going to put back in the car because it was original to it when it debuted brand new at Bathurst in 2000. Now looking at the front of the car, and specifically around the bar work and the pedal box mounting points, now the dashboard and everything's removed, it does show that there's a fair bit more work that's gone on to FTR3 since its racing life began in the year 2000. Now if you have a look at this photo here, you can see the pedal box and there's a diagonal bar that runs directly under the steering column. Now that's still there today, which is that bar just there. That hasn't changed. Now what it has got though is this additional bar work just here. Now that wasn't there when the car was brand new in the year 2000. So it raises questions of when it was added, which we're trying to find out at the moment, and the reasons why it was added. Now if we go back and use the original photo that we just looked at, you can also see that on the transmission tunnel, where that bar goes to, it goes to a central junction, which mounts to the transmission tunnel. Now on that photo, you can see there's a footrest. If I get inside the car, you can see there that that's the screw holes that either went in that hole there or that hole there for the screw holes for the footrest. And behind that, there's absolutely nothing there. So there's none of this section here, which was in the car when it was brand new in 2000. Now, if we go back, you can see all that diagonal bar work has been installed after the car ran at Bathurst in 2000. And I guess to the point where we are today, it's happened somewhere in that timeline. So we know on the original drawings it wasn't there. There's also little bits and pieces like on the side intrusion, which you can see here. That bar there wasn't on the original drawings either. So I guess there's a few theories that have been floated as to how we've ended up with this extra bar work under the car. Was it because the Larry bar was removed when it was converted to a ride car? It's possible, but one question that we do have is if you have a look at the back of the car on the bar work that we know was changed to be a ride car, and you scratch the paint off it, it's just bare metal. There's not a trace of white paint under it. Now if we come back this way again and have a look at the bar work that was added at some stage behind the pedal box, you can see there that there is definitely white paint under it. So at some point that bar has been installed, it has been white, and if we have a look, it's probably a little bit hard to show on camera, but if we have a look down the back there where the paint gun can't get to, you can see there on the passenger side, definitely that's got white paint on it. So I'm starting to wonder whether that modification was done while it was still racing as an FTR factory Ford, and it's been put in between 2001 and 2003. Now, if you have a look at this bit of footage here of David Bernard at the Australian Grand Prix in 2003, you can see that side intrusion bar and that upright is definitely on the car. Now, that obviously wasn't there in 2000, so there has been cage modifications done prior to the Australian Grand Prix in 2003. Now, one other possibility as to that bar work that's been floated as an idea, which is certainly plausible, On-Track Engineering or BHAGs built a lot of these AU chassis for teams back in the day. Now, FTR built their own chassis. FTR3 was the last car that they built in-house. FTR4 was a BHAG shell. Now, if you have a look at the Ellery Falcon, it was a BHAG shell when it was brand new. And quite interestingly, if you have a look under the dashboard of the Ellery Falcon, it replicates exactly what we're looking at here under the dashboard. So it is possible that, I guess it's not completely out of the question, that bar work was added once FTR started running FTR4 or got their hands on FTR4 and saw the extra bar work and I guess how it performed, or that there would have been a theory behind it. So certainly the Ellery Falcon was built brand new with that bar work in it, and obviously it could have been added to FTR3 at a later date. Now, one other note that's interesting is you can see there that diagonal bar that runs down from the roof line. If we come back, you can see it's quite visible. I guess we're getting the driver's way to a certain point, trying to get their head in the car. If you have a look at the FTR design, it doesn't have that at all. And again, going back to that footage of David Bernard in 2003, it's definitely not there. So it's a totally different design that FTR had back in the day. And you can see there, it actually follows the roof line and runs down into the top of the point there on that crossbar. So two totally different ideas with the front ends of the cars, but at the end of the day, they've both ended up very similar. Obviously, FTR3 has to have the Larry bar reinstalled and a few other bits and pieces at the front. But yeah, underneath the dashboard, both cars, despite being two totally different teams, are not dissimilar. Now finally, if we go to the boot of the car, as you can see, those rear bracings that go between the shock towers, they're all still there. They were there back when the car was racing. They line up perfectly with all the photos. So the boot itself really hasn't been changed. Where a lot of work has to be done is to convert the car back to how it was as an AU. So pretty well everything from the parcel shelf backwards will need to be changed. And also all the boot floor and tail light buckets and pretty well everything you can see here does need to be removed. So this will all get cut out of the car shortly, and we'll pretty well cut it back to the rear firewall and start again. We did this with the Super Cheap Falcon, so we do have a little bit of experience with it now, but it is still a bit of a daunting task to I guess, start cutting sections of the car out. But it doesn't actually modify or change anything to do with the chassis. It's all to do purely just getting it back to how it was cosmetically. Now from here, we obviously need to get the cage work organised. We do have a little bit of a plan in place on how this can take place. It's all just, I guess, getting the finer details locked in, but we're hoping to transport the car shortly to somebody that can have a look at it for us and I guess give us an idea what's going to be involved in replacing all the bar work and building the chassis back to how it was in 2000. And what we're going to do is just push on and do as much as we can with the car before it leaves. So if we can get an AU back end back on it before it goes, that'd be great. It's really just I guess, comes down to availability of a good engineer that can do the bar work and certify it all for us, because we do want the car to be track ready and have the car active on the track. The only other thing we have to do to the front, which is pretty simple, is just change that front radiator support. And this section here does sit lower, basically from here to here. On the AU, it does follow that line and sits a lot lower than what the BA does. So we'll cut all that out at the same time and put an AU front rad support, headlight buckets and all that back into the car. So that's really about it as far as FTR3 goes. The car 31, the Ellery Falcon. We're currently getting all the throttle bodies and trumpets and everything organised on that. I just shut the bonnet here before to keep the dust out, but we've got the, as you'll see here, all the throttle bodies and that are all back in the car. We've got to get the trumpets and that installed on it next. So we'll throw a cover on that for tonight and worry about that one next week. But you can see there it's starting to go back together nicely, and we'll obviously get some trumpets and an airbox and everything back on it, and hopefully hit the button again and fire into life, and hopefully it's pretty well then track ready by a few little setup bits and pieces on the car. So we're really looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to sharing that with you, and we'll share the details once we know exactly what the plan of attack is. So that's basically where everything's at with the two cars. Again, it's slow going, it's a lot of work, but we're getting there slowly, and thanks again for your support. If you've got any questions, let us know, and we'll look forward to bringing more with you as soon as we've got it ready. So thanks again.